Hello and welcome. In this quick start guide, we're going to get you up and running on the Cadwell Sierra Wave. Over the next few minutes, we'll take you from a totally powered down machine to a system that is 100% ready to run your very first test.
So, here's our game plan. We'll start with the proper power-up sequence for the hardware. Then we'll jump into launching the software, getting patient info entered, picking a test, and we'll wrap it all up with a quick tour of the main screen. Let's do it.
Okay, let's dive right in with Section 1, the System Power-Up Sequence. This first step is probably the most critical one for getting the hardware to behave correctly, so let's pay close attention here.
First things first, just double-check that your amplifier and stimulators are all connected securely. Then you have to follow this power-on sequence exactly as you see it. It's base unit first, then the monitor, then the printer, and the computer is always last. Now there's a really good reason for this. Turning on the computer last lets it properly find and recognize all the other hardware as it boots up. It saves you from a world of potential headaches.
And while we're on the topic of power, here is a golden rule, a non-negotiable safety warning. You never, ever turn the main Sierra Wave instrument base on or off while a patient is connected. This is absolutely critical to remember for patient safety.
All right, the hardware's on. Now it's time for the software, the brains of the whole operation. So, Section 2, launching the Wave software. Let's get that program up and running.
Starting the program is about as easy as it gets. You've got two main ways to do it. You can either just double-click the icon right there on your desktop, or you can go the classic route through the Windows Start menu. Both paths will get you to the exact same place.
So what happens if you see this dreaded communication error? First off, don't panic. This is probably the most common little hiccup you'll encounter, and honestly, it's a perfect example of why that power-up sequence we just talked about is so important. All this error means is that the software can't talk to the hardware. The fix is usually super simple. Just make sure the base unit is actually on and that the network cable is plugged in all the way.
Okay, software's running smoothly. Now it's time to get the system ready for your actual patient. This brings us to Section 3, entering patient information. You know, the system is really flexible here. It gives you a bunch of different ways to get to that patient information window. You can press the F1 key for a new exam, you can go through the File menu, you can even press the physical patient key on the base unit itself. Heck, even if you just try to select a test, the system's smart enough to say, "Whoa, hold on," and pop up this window for you first.
Now, here are the key fields you'll be working with. You've got the usual suspects, last name, first name, ID, and so on. But check this out, a nice little time saver. The test date and time are automatically plugged in for you. You can always change them if you need to, but it's one less thing to worry about.
So you see all those fields, but what's the bare minimum to get started? It's just two things, a last name and a first name. That's it. And here's the why behind that. The software literally uses that name to create and name the patient's data file, which is where every piece of data from the exam is going to be saved.
Once you've got the info typed in, you'll see these 4 function key options at the bottom of the window. Now, the one you're going to be using 99% of the time is F3, Start Exam. That's your ticket forward. It saves the patient's info, and boom, takes you right to the next step.
Patient info is saved. Now we need to tell the system what test we're actually going to perform. So let's move on to Section 4, selecting a test protocol.
So, like we just said, hitting that F3 key is the smoothest and most direct workflow. It saves the patient's details and immediately, automatically brings up the study and test menu for you. No extra clicks needed.
Now, this menu is really neatly organized into 2 main sections. Up top, you've got your study lists. Think of these as pre-built combos for common exams, like a full right carpal tunnel workup. Then, below that line, you have all the individual tests. This lets you pick and choose to build your own custom exam right on the fly.
Okay, so you've entered your patient, you've picked your test, and now you're looking at the main screen. So let's do a quick tour so you know what you're looking at. This is Section 5, navigating the main screen.
The whole interface is pretty much broken down into these 3 main windows, and each one has its own specific job to do. First and most importantly, you have the Trace window. This is the heart of the whole display. This is your live look, where you'll see the actual waveforms, the electromyographic and evoked responses coming in real-time right from your patient. Off to the side, you'll see the Study window.
This is basically your roadmap for the entire exam. It shows you every test you have lined up, it lets you easily jump from one to another, and it even gives you a satisfying little check mark as you complete each one.
And finally, there's the measurements window. If the trace window shows you what is happening, this window tells you how much. This is where all the numbers live, all the data tables, the cursor values, the muscle scores, all the quantitative stuff you need for your analysis. You also have some flexibility in how you like to work. For your amplifier and stimulator controls, you can either have them in a separate floating window that you can drag around, or you can use the default docked toolbar at the top, which personally I think saves a lot of valuable screen space.
All right, now here's a huge tip that would really help you get fast on this machine. Always, always keep an eye on the very bottom of the screen. That area is your live guide, your cheat sheet for the physical controls. It tells you exactly what the F keys and the knobs on the base unit are going to do at any given moment. And the key here is that they're dynamic. Their jobs change depending on the test you're running. So that little display is absolutely essential.
And that's it. Just like that, we've gone from a cold, powered-off system to one that's fully ready to go. The hardware's on, the patient's in the system, and you know your way around the main screen. You are officially ready to start your exam.